Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about Aamon, one of the most popular assassin in the game. In this video, I will also explain how Aamon works in full details, which includes his passive, skills, builds, emblems, combos, along with some tips and guide on how to use him in a match, so that you will dominate every game using Aamon. So, without further ado, let's get started with the video. Aamon has remained as one of the most popular assassins ever since his first release, and he is known for his high burst damage and exceptional mobility. But mastering him is quite difficult, as his playstyle is very different compared to other assassins in the game. So, in order to master Aamon, you must first understand how his passive and skills work. His skills and passive can be quite confusing, so I will explain his first skill and passive together, so that it will be easier for you to understand. So let's start with his passive and first skill. With the help of his first skill, Aamon throws a shard at a nearby enemy, dealing 175 magic damage to the enemy hit. And thanks to his passive, upon hitting an enemy with your skills, Aamon will enter the camouflage state, during which he cannot be targeted. And during the camouflage state, you will gain 60% extra movement speed, that decays over 3.5 seconds. And during your camouflage state, you will also gain 25 HP every 0.6 seconds. And your basic attack will also be enhanced once you enter the camouflage state. And your enhanced basic attacks have longer range compared to your regular basic attacks. And each enhanced basic attack deals 100 magic damage. And hitting an enemy or creep with your enhanced basic attack will reduce the cooldown of your skills by 0.5 seconds. And now that we know about his passive, let me explain the second part of his first skill. And that is, every time you hit an enemy with your skills, you will also gain a charge on his armor. And you can see the amount of charges you have below his health bar. And once you have all 5 charges, your next basic attack or skills will throw 6 shards at the targeted enemy, each shard dealing 50 magic damage. There are more to the shards, but I will explain more about his shards later. And remember, your first skill is your primary damage ability, so make sure to max it out first. Now, let's talk about his second skill. With the help of his second skill, Aamon throws a shard forward, and after a short delay, the shard will come back to him, and Aamon will enter the camouflage state. And if the shard hits an enemy, it will return to Aamon immediately, dealing 120 magic damage to enemies along the way, and also slowing them by 50% for 2 seconds. This skill is really useful when chasing or escaping from enemies, as hitting them with this skill will slow them down, allowing you to escape or catch up to them. Now, let's talk about his ultimate skill. With the help of his ultimate, Aamon throws all shards at a targeted enemy, dealing 90 magic damage to the enemy's hit. And unlike other ultimate skills, Aamon's ultimate skill relies on the amount of shards you have in order to deal damage. Meaning the more shards you have, the more damage you will deal. And you can see the amount of shards you have on his ultimate button. And in order to increase the amount of shards, all you have to do is hit the enemies with your first and second skill. Now, let me show you the combo you can do using Aamon.
Killing spree. Killing spree.
Remember, always make sure to use your second skill to enter the camouflage state before you attack the enemies. And while you are in the camouflage state, make sure to start your attack by using your enhanced basic attacks, followed by your first skill, and then your ultimate skill. Remember, the damage of your ultimate increases with the target's lost HP. Meaning the lower the HP, the more damage you will deal, so always make sure to use your ultimate as a finisher. And remember, it's really important to use your basic attacks right after using a skill, since your basic attacks will get enhanced after using your skills, and using your enhanced basic attacks will lower the cooldown of all your skills. allowing you to use your ultimate more often, so make sure to always keep that in mind whenever you use Aamon. Now, let's talk about his builds and emblems. For Aamon, it's recommended to go for items that will increase his overall magic power and penetration. And most people even go for attack speed items, but after testing out different kinds of build myself, I've come to a conclusion and found out that this build is the best build for Aamon, and it is also the most effective build for him. And I know, most people will ask me whether Sky Piercer is good for Aamon or not. And the answer is, Sky Piercer is really effective for him. But I'd recommend you to go for Sky Piercer only if you're dominating the game, since Sky Piercer isn't effective if you die a lot. Now, let's talk about his emblems and talents. For his emblem, it's recommended to go for the Mage emblem, as the Mage emblem proves to be more effective compared to the Assassin emblem. And for his first talent, go for Swift. Swift will grant you 10% extra attack speed, allowing you to use your enhanced basic attacks more quicker. And for his second talent, go for Seasoned Hunter. Seasoned Hunter will increase your damage against the Turtle and Lord by 15%, allowing you to take down the Lord and Turtle more quickly. And for his core talent, go for Lethal Ignition. Lethal Ignition goes really well with his ultimate skill, increasing your chances of successfully securing kills. Now, let's talk about his gameplay and how to use him in a match. During the early game, unlock your first skill first, as your first skill deals more damage, plus it also has lower cooldown, allowing you to farm more quickly. And your goal during the early game should be reaching level 4 as soon as possible. And after you reach level 4, make sure to prioritize ganking the gold lane, as ganking the gold lane is the easiest, plus it will also benefit your marksmen. And as we all know, marksmen are usually the strongest during the late game, so always make sure to prioritize helping your marksmen. And after successfully ganking the gold lane, make sure to immediately go for the turtle, as securing the turtle will provide you and your whole team with extra gold and shield. But if you had a bad start, and you didn't succeed in ganking the gold lane and securing the turtle, then I'd recommend you to continue farming, and avoid unnecessary fights, as dying more than twice during the early game could greatly decrease your farm and level by a lot. So, your early game priorities should be farming, reaching level 4, securing the turtle, and helping your marksman by ganking the gold lane. Now, let's talk about his mid-game. During the mid-game, you should have at least 1 or 2 of your core items, and this is the stage where Aamon starts to shine the most. And your goal during the mid-game should be getting as many kills as you can. And your main priorities during this stage should be killing their mage and marksman, as they are the main damage dealers of the enemy's team. And in order to achieve it, you must constantly keep an eye on the minimap, especially during a teamfight. And whenever there is a teamfight, instead of rushing into the fight, make sure to be patient and hide in a nearby bush, and wait for their tank to get distracted. And once the enemy's tank is not protecting their mage or marksman, you must quickly try to go in and take down the enemy's mage or marksman as quickly as you can. Remember, the enemy's mage and marksman are usually in the back of their tank during a teamfight. And your goal as an assassin should be taking down the enemies that are hiding behind the enemy's tank. And aside from teamfights, try to rotate around the map according to the situation. Remember, most people usually lose the match because of poor rotation. And as the hyper, you must try to help all your teammates by rotating to their lane one by one. One of the most common mistakes that people make is that they will only rotate to one lane. And rotating to only one lane will lead to the enemies taking advantage of it by ganking the lane which you are not rotating. And in higher ranks, the enemies that rotate and play better are usually the ones who win. So make sure to keep that in mind when playing as the hyper. Now, let's talk about his late game. During the late game, Aamon can deal a huge amount of damage, and you should instantly be able to melt squishy enemies without much problem. But remember, even though you can deal a lot of damage, Aamon is still a squishy hero. And if you're the one who's carrying the team, the enemies will usually save their ultimate skills for you. So you must keep that in mind before dashing into a fight. And he is also weak against heroes like Saber, Cho, Ruby, and Paquito. Remember, Aamon can be countered by two types of heroes. And the first type of heroes that can counter Aamon are heroes with multiple dash or blink abilities. If you didn't know, you can dodge Aamon's ultimate by dashing right before the ultimate hits you. And that is why heroes like Picsart and Cho can easily counter him. Meaning you can also use Flicker to dodge his ultimate. And the second type of heroes that can counter him are heroes with multiple stun and CC abilities. So always make sure to keep that in mind when using Aamon. And remember, timing and positioning is the key to winning during the late game. Always keep in mind that one wrong move could lead to your death, and since the respawn time is very long during the late game, the enemies could potentially end the game before you were even able to respawn. And make sure to always check the bushes using your second skill. If you hit an enemy that is hiding in the bush with your second skill, the shard will come back to you in an instant. But if there are no enemies in the bush, the shard will take longer to come back to you. And as I have already mentioned before, your main priority during a team fight should be taking down the enemy's backline, which are their mage and marksman. Since taking down their mage and marksman first would greatly increase the chances of winning the team fight. And you must also consider taking down the Lord whenever possible, as taking down the Lord will greatly increase the chances of being able to end the game. So, what do you think about Aamon? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed, consider leaving a like on the video. And subscribe to my channel if you're new. I make tutorials and informative videos about the game. You guys motivate me to make better videos. Thank you for watching.